If you have ever stood in front of your kitchen wondering whether to reach for the coffee or the green tea and wished you actually knew what the research said about the choice you were making, stay with me because this video is going to give you the clearest, most complete answer available from the current evidence. There is a good chance that somewhere in your home right now there is either a bag of green tea or a container of coffee or possibly both. And there is an equally good chance that you have at some point found yourself wondering which one you should be drinking more of, whether the one you prefer is actually better for your health, or whether switching to the other would give you some meaningful health advantage that you are currently missing. This is one of the most common nutritional questions people have, and it is also one of the most poorly answered in the popular health space, where it tends to be resolved by enthusiastic advocacy for one or the other rather than by an honest, comprehensive look at what the research actually shows across multiple health dimensions. This video is going to do the comparison properly. We're going to go head-to-head with green tea and coffee across 6 specific health dimensions: fat metabolism and thermogenesis, cardiovascular health and blood flow, hormonal health and intimate wellness, cognitive function and sustained energy, antioxidant and anti-inflammatory protection, and long-term health outcomes based on decades of epidemiological research. For each dimension, we're going to look at the specific compounds involved, the quality of the research, and an honest assessment of which beverage has a genuine advantage, whether they're comparable or whether it depends on individual factors. And at the end, we're going to arrive at what I think is the most practically useful conclusion this comparison leads to, which is not simply picking a winner, but understanding how to use both beverages strategically based on your specific health goals and circumstances. Let us start by understanding what each beverage actually contains at the nutritional level, because this is the foundation that everything else in the comparison rests on. Green tea is made from the leaves of Camellia sinensis that have been minimally processed to preserve their natural compounds. The primary bioactive constituents of green tea include caffeine, present in moderate amounts, typically between 25 and 50 milligrams per cup, depending on the tea quality, steeping time, and water temperature. Catechins, which are a class of polyphenolic antioxidants of which epigallocatechin gallate, commonly abbreviated EG, is the most abundant and most studied. L-Theanine, which is an amino acid found almost exclusively in tea leaves that has documented effects on cognitive function and stress response. And a range of other polyphenol, vitamins including vitamin C and K, and minerals including manganese and fluoride. The combination of moderate caffeine with L-Theanine is unique to tea among commonly consumed beverages and produces effects that are qualitatively different from those of caffeine alone, which we will examine in detail when we get to the cognitive function comparison. Coffee is made from roasted and ground beans of the coffea plant. Its primary bioactive constituents include caffeine, present in significantly higher amounts than green tea, typically between 80 and 150 milligrams per standard cup, with considerable variation depending on the coffee variety, roast level, and preparation method. Chlorogenic acids, which are a family of polyphenolic compounds with antioxidant and metabolic properties that are distinct from the catechins in green tea. Trigonelline, which breaks down during roasting to produce niacin and other compounds with biological activity. Cafestal and coeal, which are diterpenes found in unfiltered coffee preparations that have both beneficial and potentially adverse health effects depending on the context. And melanoidins, which are complex compounds formed during the roasting process with antioxidant and prebiotic properties. Coffee is the single largest source of antioxidants in the diets of many Western populations, not because it contains the highest concentration per serving, but because it is consumed in such large quantities relative to other antioxidant-rich foods. Understanding these distinct nutritional profiles is essential context for the comparison that follows. Round 1 is fat metabolism and thermogenesis, which is the area where both beverages have received the most attention in the context of weight management and metabolic health. Both green tea and coffee support fat metabolism through mechanisms that include caffeine-mediated effects, and both have caffeine-independent mechanisms as well that operate through different pathways. The caffeine content of both beverages inhibits phosphodiesterase, the enzyme that breaks down cyclic AMP, thereby amplifying the cellular signal for lipolysis, which is the release of stored fatty acids from fat cells. Coffee's higher caffeine content means it produces a stronger caffeine-mediated lipolytic and thermogenic effect per cup than green tea for most people. However, green tea has a caffeine-independent fat metabolism advantage through EGCG. As we discussed in our previous video, EGCG inhibits catechol-methyltransferase, the enzyme that breaks down norepinephrine, extending the fat-releasing signal through the adrenergic receptor pathway. Research has found that this catechin-mediated effect is additive to the caffeine effect, meaning that green tea produces fat oxidation support through two complementary mechanisms simultaneously rather than one. Meta-analyses examining green tea catechin, supplementation, and body composition have found statistically significant effects on body weight and fat mass, with the effects being more pronounced when green tea catechins are consumed without habitual caffeine tolerance, meaning in people who are not regular coffee drinkers. The clinical significance of these effects in absolute terms is modest, meaning green tea's fat metabolism support is a meaningful contributor to overall metabolic health rather than a dramatic standalone fat loss intervention. Coffee's thermogenic advantage comes primarily from its higher caffeine dose, which produces larger acute increases in resting metabolic rate and fat oxidation. Research has found that caffeine increases resting metabolic rate by approximately 3 to 11% and increases fat oxidation by 10 to 29% in dose-dependent ways. The honest verdict for fat metabolism is that green tea and coffee both provide genuine, research-supported metabolic benefits. Coffee's advantage is in the strength of its caffeine-mediated thermogenic effect. Green tea's advantage is in the dual mechanism of caffeine plus EGCG working through complementary pathways. For individuals who are already heavy caffeine consumers, the additional caffeine in coffee provides diminishing returns as tolerance develops, while green tea's catechin-mediated effects operate somewhat independently of caffeine habituation. Round 2 is cardiovascular health and blood flow, and this is a dimension with significant implications for intimate wellness given the central role of vascular health in sexual function for both men and women. Both green tea and coffee have substantial research on their cardiovascular effects, and both show generally favorable associations in large epidemiological studies, though the mechanisms differ. Green tea's cardiovascular benefits are primarily mediated through its polyphenol content, particularly EGCG. Research has found that regular green tea consumption is associated with reduced blood pressure, improved endothelial function, which is the function of the cells lining blood vessels that produce nitric oxide and regulate vascular tone, reduced LDL cholesterol oxidation, reduced triglycerides in some studies, and reduced markers of systemic inflammation that contribute to atherosclerosis. A meta-analysis of green tea and cardiovascular disease risk found meaningful associations between regular consumption and reduced risk of cardiovascular events in large population studies. The endothelial function benefit of green tea is particularly relevant to intimate wellness. Endothelial cells lining blood vessels are responsible for producing nitric oxide, which, as we discussed in our previous video on morning drink habits and men's sexual health, is the primary signaling molecule that mediates the vascular dilation required for erectile function in men and for the genital blood flow responses involved in arousal and lubrication in women. EGCG has been found in research to enhance endothelial nitric oxide synthase activity, which is the enzyme that produces nitric oxide, thereby supporting the vascular basis of sexual function. Coffee's cardiovascular research has substantially evolved from earlier concerns about coffee and heart health. Large, well-conducted prospective studies have consistently found that moderate coffee consumption of 2 to 4 cups per day is not associated with increased cardiovascular risk in most healthy adults and is associated in many studies with modest cardiovascular benefits. The chlorogenic acids in coffee have antioxidant effects that protect LDL cholesterol from oxidation and support endothelial function. Coffee consumption has been associated with reduced risk of heart failure in some large studies. The important nuance for coffee's cardiovascular effects involves preparation method. Unfiltered coffee preparations, including French press, Turkish coffee, and percolated coffee, contain cafestol and coeal, which are diterpene compounds that raise LDL cholesterol when consumed regularly in significant amounts. Filtered coffee, including drip coffee and pour-over preparations, removes the majority of these compounds and does not produce the same LDL-raising effect. This makes the preparation method a genuinely important variable in coffee's cardiovascular impact. The cardiovascular verdict gives a slight edge to green tea for direct vascular health and endothelial function support, particularly through the nitric oxide-enhancing effects of EGCG that have direct implications for blood flow and intimate wellness. Coffee is generally cardiovascular neutral to mildly positive for most people when consumed as filtered preparations, and its chlorogenic acid content provides antioxidant vascular protection. Round 3 is hormonal health and intimate wellness, which is the dimension that most directly connects these beverages to sexual health and vitality. This is an area where the research is genuinely interesting and where the specific mechanisms deserve careful examination. For men's hormonal health, the research on both green tea and coffee in relation to testosterone has produced findings worth understanding. Green tea catechins, particularly EGCG, have been found in some research to inhibit the enzyme 5-alpha reductase, which converts testosterone to dihydrotestosterone, abbreviated DHT. This inhibition has implications in two directions. For men with conditions involving excess DHT activity, including benign prostatic hyperplasia and androgenetic alopecia, reduced 5-alpha reductase activity may be beneficial. However, DHT is also an important androgen for various aspects of male physiology and sexuality, and the implications of green tea's 5-alpha reductase inhibition for overall hormonal health and sexual function in healthy men are more nuanced than either enthusiastic promotion or concern suggests. Research examining green tea consumption and testosterone levels directly has produced mixed findings that do not support a strong conclusion in either direction for healthy men consuming normal dietary amounts of green tea. Coffee and testosterone research has also attracted significant attention, particularly in the context of the popular discussion about caffeine and male hormonal health. Some research has found that caffeine consumption is associated with slightly elevated testosterone levels or with reduced sex hormone binding globulin, which would increase free testosterone availability. Other research has found no significant relationship. The most honest summary of the evidence is that moderate coffee consumption does not meaningfully suppress testosterone and may be associated with modest positive effects on free testosterone availability through SHBG modulation in some studies, though this is not a consistent enough finding to represent a primary reason to choose coffee. For both men and women, the antioxidant properties of both beverages have genuine relevance to reproductive and hormonal health through their effects on oxidative stress in reproductive tissues. As we have discussed in previous videos, oxidative stress impairs the function of hormone-producing cells, damages reproductive tissues, and contributes to the inflammatory environment that suppresses hormonal production. Both green tea's catechins and coffee's chlorogenic acids provide antioxidant protection that supports the cellular health of hormonal and reproductive tissues. The intimate wellness implications of cardiovascular health, which we covered in round 2, are arguably more significant than any direct hormonal effects of either beverage. The endothelial function support and blood flow improvements associated particularly with green tea's polyphenol content have direct practical implications for the vascular basis of sexual function in both men and women. For women's hormonal health specifically, green tea has been studied in relation to POS, where its insulin sensitizing and anti-androgenic effects through 5-alpha reductase inhibition may be genuinely beneficial. Some research has found improvements in hormonal markers in women with POS following green tea supplementation. though this remains an area where the evidence is promising but not yet conclusive. The hormonal health verdict for most healthy adults gives green tea a slight advantage in breadth of hormonal and reproductive health support, particularly through its antioxidant protection of reproductive tissues and its endothelial function benefits for intimate wellness. For specific applications including PCOS or concerns about DHT-related conditions, green tea's specific mechanisms may be more directly relevant. Round 4 is cognitive function and sustained energy, and this is where the L-Theanine content of green tea produces its most distinctive advantage over coffee. Caffeine's cognitive effects are well documented and include improved attention, processing speed, reaction time, and short-term memory performance. These effects are produced through adenosine receptor antagonism, which blocks the inhibitory signaling that produces fatigue and promotes sleepiness. Coffee's higher caffeine content produces stronger acute cognitive stimulation than green tea in most circumstances. However, a significant proportion of people who drink coffee experience the less desirable side of its caffeine effects alongside the cognitive benefits. Anxiety, jitteriness, heart palpitations, and the energy crash that follows the caffeine peak are common complaints that limit coffee's practical usefulness for sustained cognitive support, particularly in caffeine-sensitive individuals. This is where L-theanine in green tea produces a qualitatively different experience. L-theanine is an amino acid that promotes alpha wave activity in the brain, which is associated with a state of relaxed alertness, reduces the physiological stress response to caffeine, and modulates the stimulatory effects of caffeine in ways that preserve the cognitive benefits, while attenuating the anxiety and jitteriness that caffeine alone often produces. Research has found that the combination of L-theanine and caffeine produces better performance on attention and cognitive tasks than either compound alone, with participants reporting feeling more alert with less anxiety and fatigue compared to caffeine without L-theanine. This combination produces what is often described as a quality of focused calm that is qualitatively different from the more intensely stimulated state that coffee produces. For tasks requiring sustained, detailed attention, creative thinking, or performance in high-pressure situations where anxiety would be counterproductive, the L-theanine and caffeine combination in green tea may provide a cognitive environment that is actually more productive than the stronger but less modulated stimulation from coffee's higher caffeine content. For tasks requiring rapid, high-intensity cognitive performance or physical performance, where strong stimulation is appropriate, coffee's higher caffeine dose may provide a more substantial acute advantage. The cognitive and energy verdict depends significantly on individual caffeine sensitivity and the nature of the cognitive demands involved. For people who experience anxiety or jitteriness with coffee, green tea's L-theanine buffered caffeine effect is a meaningful, practical advantage. For people who tolerate coffee well and need strong acute cognitive stimulation, coffee's higher caffeine dose provides that more directly. Round 5 is antioxidant and anti-inflammatory protection, which is foundational to long-term health across virtually every organ system. Both green tea and coffee are rich in polyphenolic compounds with antioxidant and anti-inflammatory properties, but their specific polyphenol profiles are distinct and produce somewhat different patterns of antioxidant activity. Green tea's primary antioxidant compounds are the catechins, with EGCG being the most potent and most studied. EGCG is one of the most powerful natural antioxidant compounds identified in any food source and has been studied extensively for its ability to neutralize reactive oxygen species, reduce oxidative damage to DNA and cellular membranes, and reduce inflammatory signaling through multiple pathways. The concentration of catechins in green tea, particularly high-quality matcha, is among the highest of any commonly consumed beverage. Coffee's primary antioxidant compounds are chlorogenic acids, melanoidins formed during roasting, and several other polyphenolic compounds. Coffee is, as mentioned, the largest single contributor to total antioxidant intake in the diets of many Western populations, purely by virtue of consumption volume. The antioxidant activity of coffee is genuine and substantial, operating through different specific compounds and different mechanisms from green tea's catechins. Research comparing the total antioxidant capacity of green tea and coffee has generally found that high-quality green tea, particularly matcha, has higher antioxidant capacity per serving than most coffee preparations. However, the total daily antioxidant contribution of coffee is significant due to the volume at which it is consumed in many people's diets. The anti-inflammatory comparison follows a similar pattern. Both beverages reduce markers of systemic inflammation in research through their respective polyphenol mechanisms. Green tea's catechins have particularly well-studied direct anti-inflammatory effects through inhibition of specific inflammatory signaling pathways. Coffee's chlorogenic acids and melanoidins also reduce inflammatory markers in research. The antioxidant and anti-inflammatory verdict gives green tea a slight edge in antioxidant potency per serving, particularly for high-quality preparations. Coffee provides substantial total antioxidant contribution, primarily through consumption volume, and has genuine anti-inflammatory properties through its distinct polyphenol profile. Round 6 is long-term health outcomes, which is where the most comprehensive research exists through decades of large population studies. Green tea consumption has been associated in large epidemiological studies with reduced risk of several significant health conditions. These include cardiovascular disease and stroke, several types of cancer, particularly including studies in Asian populations with historically high green tea consumption, type 2 diabetes, neurodegenerative conditions including Alzheimer's and Parkinson's disease, and non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. The consistency and breadth of these associations across different populations and study designs, combined with the plausible mechanisms identified in basic research, provide meaningful support for green tea's long-term health benefits. Coffee's long-term health research is similarly extensive and has produced some of the most striking findings in nutritional epidemiology. Regular coffee consumption has been consistently associated with substantially reduced risk of type 2 diabetes, with meta-analyses finding dose-dependent reductions in risk for each additional cup per day consumed. Coffee consumption has been associated with reduced risk of several liver conditions, including liver cirrhosis and hepatocellular carcinoma, reduced risk of Parkinson's disease, and associations with reduced risk of certain cancers. The liver health findings for coffee are among the most consistent and robust in the nutrition literature. Both beverages show associations with cognitive health and reduced neurodegenerative disease risk through different mechanisms that may be complementary rather than redundant. The long-term health verdict acknowledges that both beverages have impressive and broadly similar profiles of long-term health associations across different organ systems and disease outcomes, with specific areas of particular strength. Coffee's most distinctive long-term advantage is in liver health protection, where the evidence is particularly strong and consistent. Green tea's most distinctive advantage is in cardiovascular and vascular health outcomes, which, as we have discussed, have significant implications for intimate wellness over the lifespan. Now, let us get to the conclusion that this comprehensive comparison leads to, because the honest answer to the green tea versus coffee question is not simply that one is better. The research supports a framework that might be called strategic complementarity. Green tea and coffee have distinct nutritional profiles that produce overlapping but not identical health benefits through different mechanisms. Their antioxidant compounds are different polyphenol that operate through different pathways. Their effects on metabolism involve both shared caffeine-mediated mechanisms and distinct compound-specific mechanisms. Their hormonal and vascular effects differ in specifics, while both contributing positively to overall health. For individuals who can tolerate both beverages, incorporating both into the daily routine in a thoughtful way captures a broader range of the health benefits than either alone provides. Morning coffee for its stronger thermogenic and cognitive stimulation effects, combined with green tea at other times of day for its EGCG-mediated vascular, antioxidant, and gentle sustained energy benefits, creates a beverage strategy that uses each for its specific strengths. For individuals who can tolerate only one, the choice should be guided by specific health priorities. Green tea's advantage is in cardiovascular and vascular health, antioxidant potency preserving, cognitive quality through L-Theanine modulation, and intimate wellness through endothelial function support. Coffee's advantage is in acute thermogenic strength, liver health protection, and total antioxidant contribution through volume for those who drink it regularly. For individuals with caffeine sensitivity or anxiety, green tea's lower caffeine content combined with L-theanine's modulating effect makes it significantly better tolerated while still providing meaningful health benefits. There are also individual genetic factors that influence how each beverage affects specific people. Variants in the CYP1A2 gene, which codes for the primary enzyme metabolizing caffeine, produce significant differences in how quickly individuals process caffeine. Fast metabolizers tend to experience fewer adverse effects from coffee and may derive greater cardiovascular benefit from caffeine. Slow metabolizers may experience more anxiety and adverse cardiovascular effects from the same coffee dose, and may find green tea's lower caffeine content more appropriate. The most important practical message from this entire comparison is that both green tea and coffee, when consumed in moderate amounts as part of an overall health-supporting dietary pattern, represent genuinely health-promoting choices with decades of research behind them. The debate between them, while interesting and useful for understanding specific health priorities, should not obscure the much larger distinction between either of these polyphenol-rich beverages and the sugary, highly processed beverages that constitute a significant proportion of liquid caloric intake for many people. Choosing either green tea or coffee consistently over those alternatives is a meaningful, positive health choice. Understanding the specific strengths of each allows you to refine that choice in the direction of your specific health goals. And for many people, enjoying both thoughtfully combines the best of what each uniquely offers. That is the honest, research-grounded conclusion of the green tea versus coffee comparison. Not a simple winner, but a nuanced understanding of what each beverage specifically delivers and how to use that knowledge practically in service of your health. Thank you for watching this all the way through. If this gave you a clearer, more evidence-grounded understanding of two beverages you probably already consume, please share it with someone who has been in the middle of this debate. Subscribe for more honest, research-grounded nutrition content, and drop a comment below telling me which team you are on, whether this video changed anything about how you think about your beverage choice, and whether you're going to try incorporating both strategically. This community's responses to this kind of question are always genuinely interesting. Both green tea and coffee are genuinely health-supporting beverages with decades of research behind them. Understanding what each one specifically delivers allows you to choose intentionally rather than by habit or marketing. Subscribe for more content that gives you that kind of clarity. Share this with someone in the middle of this debate, and make your next beverage choice with the confidence of actually knowing what the science shows.